Pew, 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 pew. Hey guys, and welcome back to another tier list. Angelina is away this week, so you're stuck with just me, and I'm going to be looking at 10 potential managers for Newcastle and seeing whether or not they'd actually be a good fit. Right, I've got 10 names here given to me by producer Ryan, but first let's go through the categories. So Alan Shearer is the top category. That would obviously be a very good idea. Kevin Keegan is the next category, then Ant Dec, then Luke de Jong had a very unsuccessful loan spell at Newcastle, if you didn't know that, and Mike Ashley is in the worst category. Right, the first name is Frank Lampard. He's out of a job. I'm sure he'd jump at the chance to come back into the Premier League, but is it really a good enough idea for Newcastle? I feel like he might need a little bit more experience. First off, he definitely join, but look at what happened last time he was trusted with a massive budget. Like, they spent 200 million, I think, Chelsea in the summer a couple of years ago. And he was sacked after 6 months later after spending all that money. That's what Newcastle are going to be doing, and I think like they might want to trust, I don't know, maybe not necessarily more experience, but certainly more of an idea and identity, and I'm not sure Lampard has that just yet. It's not going to be the worst idea ever, but I'm not sure they should be going for this. I'm going to put him in Luke de Jong. Sorry, Frank. The next one is Antonio Conte. Whilst this would be amazing for Newcastle because it should theoretically make them more solid defensively, more difficult to beat, and he has a clear strategy in the transfer market. He's got a clear strategy on the field, Antonio Conte, with a 3-5-2, but also has a clear idea of what he wants and needs in the transfer market. He did it when he came into Inter, turned them into the title-winning team straight off the bat. But, is he going to be able to get enough of the right players in January to join Newcastle? Like, the kind of guys that he wants aren't going to join if they're the only new big signing. A full team overhaul is unlikely in January. And whilst I think he'd be brilliant for them, I'm not so sure he's going to join unless he's offered a crazy amount of money. I'm going to have to put this one in Ant Dec, which isn't even that bad. That's halfway through the categories. Next up, Unai Emery. Treated unfairly after his spell at Arsenal and has proven with Villarreal and with Sevilla before the Arsenal job, he's a great manager. I think he'd love to come back to England and prove everyone wrong. But is it going to be with Newcastle? This is the question. If you're winning Europa Leagues like he was with Sevilla and he did with Villarreal, getting into the Champions League, is he really going to come to Newcastle just yet? I think this would be a very good option, and I think he'd be actually very successful with Newcastle. I think it would be a good idea, even though I don't think he's going to leave Villarreal just yet. So I'm actually going to put him in Kevin Keegan, the second one, the second top one. Steven Gerrard, next up. Now, we spoke about Frank Lampard. Both started their managerial careers at a similar time, but Gerrard's had a lot of success for Rangers. It looks as though at some point he's going to be taking over at Liverpool, with Jurgen Klopp saying he's going to leave after his contract runs out. I think it's 2024, so a few years yet. Seems to me like the perfect timing. He comes into Newcastle, has 2.5 years there to further his experience, to make more mistakes, to learn from them, to become a better manager, to take the next step up from Rangers, where he's already won the league, and stopped Celtic winning 10 in a row, to Newcastle, and then eventually go to Liverpool. The question is, I think he'll be a great manager. The question is, do Newcastle want to bring someone in who basically has an expiry date, who they know sooner or later will end up swapping them for Liverpool? I still think they will. I can't see Newcastle being on Liverpool's level within the next few years in the Gerrard reign anyway. And theoretically, if everything was to work out and Gerrard was to take Newcastle to the next level of being a Europa League contender, let's say, breaking into the top 6, by that time, if he were to then leave for Liverpool, they'd be an attractive enough proposition to go ahead and bring in another quality manager. So I think this one will be a fantastic decision, and I'm putting Gerrard in the Alan Shearer category. For top category, I think this would be a fantastic idea. Next up, Roberto Martinez, linked with the Barcelona job. His Premier League experience doesn't really bode well. The Wigan job was all right, saved them from relegation before eventually succumbing to relegation. Has obviously got the FA Cup victory on his record. Did not do so well at Everton. Did okay in the first season, wasn't fantastic afterwards. I think if they're going to go for Roberto Martinez, there's better options out there, so I'm going in Ant Dec, to be honest with him. Next up, Eddie Howe. He took Bournemouth to the top level, and the thing is, he literally took Bournemouth to where Newcastle are now. Like, Eddie Howe has no experience in taking any club any higher than where Newcastle were predicted to finish, which is probably somewhere between 14th and 16th. So I'm not really sure why they think he could add anything more on top of this. Apparently they were in talks as well. Has Eddie Howe been trusted with a ridiculous budget at Bournemouth? Not really. So maybe he could work on a shoestring, but that doesn't quite apply to Newcastle now that they're the richest club in the world. He did have quite a bit of money at Burnley and things didn't work out so well there. They went back to Bournemouth. I think it's a bad idea. I'm going Mike Ashley with this one. Sorry Eddie Howe. Next up, Wayne Rooney. Doing well considering Derby's struggles. Again, much like Lampard though, very little experience in the managerial role. Is he going to step up and be trusted with a ridiculous amount of money and to take a Premier League team for the first time, turn it around and take them all the way to the top? Or near the top? I like Wayne Rooney. I think he could go on to be a good manager. But at the moment for Newcastle, this is a bad idea. So I'm going Luke de Jong for this one. Next up, Lucien Favre. I think this would be a masterstroke. So, recently left Dortmund. I say recently, last year left Dortmund. That was his last job. Had an okay start there. Won the German Super Cup with them. Wasn't fantastic towards the end, including getting battered. I think it was Stuttgart who beat them before he got fired. Before that was at Nice. Did pretty well with Nice. But before that is the job that I think we should focus on with Lucien Favre and why I think he should be in Alan Shearer for being number one, if not the favourite for the Newcastle job. And that is because the job he did with Gladbach was sensational. Took a fallen giant, let's say, in Gladbach, from bottom of the table, I think, when he came in, from relegation threatened Gladbach, kept them up, and then took them to the Champions League. If that isn't the blueprint for Newcastle right now, I don't know what is. Like, if you're going to invest the money that they're planning to invest, they're relegation threatened and they want to be near the top of the table, Favre's your man. Attacking football, the complete opposite of what Bruce and a few others have brought to Newcastle in recent years. Fast-paced, very tactical, has a great nous for identifying what different managers do in situations and can really adapt his game to that. I think, and also, by the way, Favre was linked with the Crystal Palace job, and no disrespect to Crystal Palace, in terms of club size, Newcastle are bigger than Palace, have more budget. I don't think it's quite out of the realm of possibility. I mean, coming from Dortmund to Newcastle is a bit of a jump, but like I say, he's been out of a job for a year and a bit. I think he'd be fantastic, and I'm going to put him in Alan Shearer. Next up, Jose Mourinho. I saw this link the other day because Jose Mourinho, when he started his career as a coach, it was under Bobby Robson at Sporting in Portugal. As a translator, I believe it was. A translator or a scout or a bit of both, maybe. Has a bit of an emotional connection to Newcastle. So I think that's why this rumour came about. He's not leaving Roma just yet. And I'm not even sure it'd be a good idea for him to be back in the Premier League. Does know how to handle a takeover and a lot of money, as we've seen with Chelsea. When he joined them and took them to 2 successive Premier League titles. Not sure this is a good idea. It's not going to happen, so I'm putting him in Mike Ashley because it's just not a fantastic idea. Lastly but not least, Brendan Rodgers. This is an interesting one. On one hand, he'd be very good. Be very good with Newcastle. With the players that they've got, he'd be good, and then being given the money to go out and sign some new players. I mean, we've seen the recruitment that Leicester have done has been fantastic. Not all down to Brendan Rodgers, like the recruitment team at Leicester has been good, but of course Rodgers knows what he wants from his team, and we'll have discussion with that team within the Leicester setup to go ahead and find these sort of players. If they can get something similar done at Newcastle, he would be brilliant. It's just whether or not he'd leave Leicester at the moment. If he feels that maybe Leicester are a step too far away from where they want to be, and almost the cycle has come to an end after, a pretty successful period with Leicester. Okay, they haven't gotten to the Champions League, FA Cup, Community Shield were both victorious in. Would he leave? That is the question. He said he wouldn't leave Celtic, and then he did for the Leicester job. I think maybe at the end of the season, but that doesn't sort out the here and now. This is a complete 50-50. I'm going to put him in Ant and Deck, bang in the middle. And that is it. There we have the 10 potential new managers at Newcastle and how I think they fare, whether or not they go. But you guys can let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Would you even sack Steve Bruce? And who would you bring in once he is, what seemingly looks like, eventually relieved of his duties? Let me know down below. Smash the like button. Check out everything else we've got going on. And until next time, I will see you guys later.